You check it the second you wake up, right? Like
Wow.
it taps your wrist during important meetings.
Yeah.
It just suddenly buzzes and flashes a bright screen when you were, just trying to wind down and go to sleep.
Mm.
And, well, what if the very device you bought to help cure your stress is actually causing it?
Yeah, I mean, it is the ultimate modern irony. We strap this glowing notification center to our bodies, expecting peace of mind, and we basically get a hyperactive taskmaster instead.
Right, exactly. So welcome to today's deep dive. We're so thrilled you're joining us. And we have a massive stack of sources to sift through today, carefully curated just for you.
We really do.
Yeah, we are going to be pulling from technical specs from wearable tech companies like OXYZEN, a really comprehensive academic analysis comparing smart rings to smartwatches, plus thousands of user testimonials. Oh, and a highly critical article exploring the hidden downsides of wearable tech in 2025.
Which, gives us a fantastic 360-degree view of where personal wellness technology is actually heading. We are stripping away the marketing veneer to look at the raw data.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because our mission today is to cut through that wellness hype and decode the smart ring revolution. Like, is a screenless ring really the ultimate health investment for you? Or is it just an overpriced piece of jewelry with a bunch of hidden costs?
Right. That is the big question.
Okay, let's unpack this. We're living in an era of just intense digital burnout and information overload. Our attention is totally fractured. So why are so many people suddenly migrating their tech from their wrists down to their fingers?
Well, to truly understand that migration, we first have to unlearn our relationship with the smartwatch. Like, the academic analysis we are pulling from frames this through a really beautiful philosophical lens. They say, think of a smartwatch as the conductor of an orchestra.
Oh, right. And the conductor is like up front, waving a baton, very visible to everyone in the room.
Exactly. It actively manages your life. It taps you to tell you when to stand up. It dictates your breathing exercises. It even categorizes your emails on a tiny screen. It demands your attention to keep the rhythm of your day going.
Yeah, it's live.
It is. A smart ring, on the other hand, acts as the composer, or maybe the acoustician. It works passively in the background. It analyzes the environment and your internal biological state without ever actually interrupting the performance itself.
I love that. It's the difference between a micromanaging boss who emails you every 5 minutes demanding a status update and a silent bodyguard, or like a forensic accountant who is just quietly auditing your health in the background.
That is a perfect way to put it.
But as much as I love a good metaphor, there is a tangible biological reason why the finger actually outperforms the wrist for this kind of tracking, isn't there?
Oh, absolutely. The biology strongly favors the finger. To gather health data, these devices rely on optical sensors, and the finger contains incredibly rich capillary beds and what are called palmar digital arteries.
Okay.
Yeah, and these blood vessels sit much closer to the surface of the skin than the major vessels buried under the tissue and bone of your wrist.
I always wondered about that, like how a tiny light could actually read a pulse.
Yeah.
Can you break down the mechanics of how that sensor actually works?
Sure, so it uses a technology called photoplethysmography, or PPG for short.
PPG, got it.
Right. The ring shines a very specific wavelength of light, usually green or red, directly into your skin. With every single heartbeat, your capillaries fill with blood, and blood absorbs that light.
Oh, okay.
So the sensor measures exactly how much light bounces back. More blood means less light bounces back. By tracking those microscopic changes in light reflection thousands of times a minute, the ring maps your exact cardiovascular rhythm.
Wow. And because those arteries in the finger are right beneath the surface, that light signal doesn't have to penetrate as deep, right? So the raw data is just cleaner.
Much cleaner. And then you add the physics of wearing the device. A heavy smartwatch is constantly sliding up and down your arm. Every time it slides, ambient light leaks in under the sensor, or the sensor shifts over a bone.
Which messes up the reading.
Exactly. It creates a random motion artifact that completely confuses the algorithm. But a ring sits snugly on a single digit. It experiences far less of that random movement, meaning the data integrity, especially while you're tossing and turning asleep, is phenomenally better.
Makes total sense. And that brings me back to the irony of the smartwatch. We wear them to manage our health, but the act of managing the buzzing, the alerts, creates these micro-interruptions.
Yeah, constantly.
The academic sources point out that just feeling that sudden haptic buzz on your wrist can trigger a minor physiological stress response, like your brain instinctively reacts as if a threat just appeared.
And that is the real villain here. It's not just the annoyance of a notification. It is this chronic, invisible stress, our bodies are constantly reacting to false alarms.
Right.
Since the smart ring is acting as this silent forensic accountant, the thing it is primarily auditing and protecting you from is that exact invisible threat of chronic stress.
Like a silent alarm going off inside our nervous systems.
Exactly. The medical literature dives deep into a concept called allostatic overload. This is the dangerous physiological state when your body gets stuck in a constant fight or flight mode.
Which is exhausting.
It is. Evolutionarily, fight or flight was a brilliant mechanism for acute short-term dangers. Running from a predator. It was never meant to be activated by sitting in traffic while your wrist buzzes with 10 urgent Slack messages.
No, our bodies just aren't built for a 247 inbox. And the statistics in the research stack are genuinely alarming. Persistent personal stress can elevate the risk of circulatory diseases by 72%.
Yeah, that number is wild.
And type 2 diabetes by 47%. That is a massive, life-altering jump in risk simply from your nervous system being overworked.
It really is. Chronic stress fundamentally alters your hormonal regulation. It creates systemic inflammation, it floods your system with cortisol, and it strains the entire cardiovascular network. But you cannot manage what you do not measure. You can't just ask someone, hey, how stressed are you today? We tend to normalize our own exhaustion. The ultimate objective metric to track the toll this takes is heart rate variability, or HRV.
Wait, I need to stop you there. I see HRV plastered all over wellness blogs, but the name always confuses me.
It confuses a lot of people.
Right. Because if I want a healthy heart, wouldn't I want my heart beating steadily like a perfect metronome? Why is a highly variable, erratic heartbeat considered healthy?
It is entirely counterintuitive.
Oh.
But you do not want a metronome. Think of your heart like a professional tennis player waiting for a serve.
Okay.
If a tennis player is standing completely still, flat-footed like a metronome, they can't react when the ball is hit. But if they are bouncing on their toes, shifting their weight back and forth, they are ready to dive in any direction. That bounce is variability.
Oh, that makes perfect sense.
IHRV means the microscopic time intervals between your consecutive heartbeats are constantly changing. It means you have a flexible, resilient parasympathetic nervous system. Your rest and digest mode is actively keeping you calm, but you are ready to react.
And low HRV.
Low HRV means your sympathetic nervous system. The fight or flight mode is in overdrive. Your body is so stressed that your heart is rigidly pumping out of fear, completely flat-footed.
Wow, okay. So high variability means your body is relaxed and adaptable. Low variability means you are stressed to the max and rigid.
What's fascinating here is the stark contrast in how we monitor this physiological state. Traditional medicine relies on incredibly infrequent snapshots.
Right, like an annual checkup.
Exactly. You go for an annual checkup, a nurse takes your blood pressure, maybe runs a 10-second ECG, and that's it. It's a single, isolated moment in a 365-day year. But smart rings provide 247 continuous surveillance. They map your unique, personal baseline over weeks of continuous wear.
Because they are always watching. They can catch those microscopic drops in HRV months before you feel the clinical symptoms of burnout. Reading through the thousands of user testimonials we pulled really crystallized this for me.
The stories are incredible.
You see everyday people realizing their bodies were screaming for help before their conscious brains ever caught on. Like, I read a testimonial from a user named Rhea P.
Oh, I remember that one.
Yeah, she woke up feeling completely fine, but she checked her ring data and noticed her resting heart rate had spiked while her HRV had plummeted. Based entirely on that objective data, she canceled her heavy workout and just took it easy. A day later, a severe flu hit her.
Wow.
That early warning gave her the chance to rest before she completely crashed, likely shortening her illness.
She basically used her own biological telemetry to preempt a breakdown.
Exactly. And then there was Farah M., who took it a step further. She used her ring's stress data to actually negotiate better boundaries at work.
Oh, that's brilliant.
She literally pointed to a graph during a meeting with her manager and said, "This specific weekly check-in structure is causing a quantifiable spike in my physiological stress." She used biofeedback to win a workplace negotiation.
It shifts the conversation from, I feel overwhelmed to, here is the clinical proof of my allostatic load.
Yeah.
But to maintain that resilience, we cannot discuss stress recovery and HRV without discussing the most critical biological recovery period of all, which is sleep.
Which introduces a massive logistical hurdle.
Yeah.
Tracking sleep requires a device you are actually willing to wear to bed. Wearing a bulky, glowing screen on your wrist while you're trying to achieve deep rest is just incredibly annoying for a lot of people.
It really is. It creates physical and psychological friction. This is where smart rings deploy what the industry calls sleep intelligence.
Okay.
Because the ring is completely unobtrusive and tracks a screen, it can silently track the complex architecture of your sleep using those same PC sensors alongside highly sensitive accelerometers and temperature sensors.
Can we get into the mechanics of that? Like, how does a ring on my finger know if I'm in light sleep or deep sleep?
It's a synthesis of data streams. As you move into deep sleep, your heart rate slows down, your HRV changes, and you become physically very still. The ring's accelerometer detects that lack of movement.
Got it.
And deep sleep is crucial for physical recovery. It's when your body releases human growth hormone and consolidates declarative memory, which is moving facts and figures you learned that day into long-term storage in the brain.
So if you're a student pulling an all-nighter, you are actively destroying your ability to retain whatever you just studied.
You are totally sabotaging your own learning. Then the ring tracks REM sleep. During REM, your heart rate actually becomes more erratic, mirroring your waking state as you dream, while your major muscles become temporarily paralyzed.
Right.
The ring sees that unique heart pattern combined with stillness. REM is vital for procedural memory, learning how to do physical tasks, and for emotional regulation.
The technical specs also mention it tracks SpO2 and temperature, right?
Yeah. By shining a red and infrared light into the finger, the ring can measure the oxygen saturation in your blood SpO2. This is critical for catching breathing interruptions like potential sleep apnea.
That's huge.
It is. And simultaneously, a tiny negative temperature coefficient thermistor on the inside of the band tracks fluctuations in your skin temperature down to the fraction of a degree. This maps your circadian rhythm and, as re-experienced, can signal the onset of an immune response before a fever fully hits.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though. All of that incredibly sophisticated sleep data is utterly useless if the device is sitting on your nightstand. And this is the fatal flaw of the smartwatch, the daily friction of battery life.
Oh, completely.
If you have to charge a smartwatch every single night, or even every other night, you inevitably take it off before bed. You lose the most vital data window.
The logistics of charging are arguably the biggest barrier to consistent longitudinal health tracking. If a habit requires constant maintenance, human nature dictates we will eventually abandon it.
So how did the ring solve this? I was looking at the OXYZEN technical specs, and they go into granular detail on this engineering problem.
They really highlight a major evolution in hardware design. Traditional smart rings and a lot of current wearables rely on physical charging cradles with tiny metal contact pins.
Right.
Those pins require precise alignment to charge. But more importantly, those physical contacts corrode. Every time you sweat, wash your hands, or apply lotion, you are introducing corrosive elements to those metal pins. The industry data indicates these traditional charging setups often degrade and fail after just 8 to 12 months.
Turning a $300 piece of cutting-edge tech into a paperweight.
Exactly. To bypass that, the OXYZEN engineers detailed a shift to a completely sealed wireless charging design. They utilize key-compatible inductive charging.
Okay.
The engineering challenge is that putting an inductive coil into a thin ring is incredibly difficult. They had to invent a proprietary microcoil that fits inside the curved geometry of the band without interfering with the optical sensors or adding bulk.
And the performance metrics on that microcoil are wild. It charges the battery from 0 to 80% in just 60 to 70 minutes.
And thermal management is the hidden hero there. Inductive charging naturally generates a lot of heat. If a ring gets too hot while charging, it permanently degrades the tiny lithium polymer battery sealed inside.
Which ruins the lifespan.
Right. So their power management system actively throttles the charge to limit the ring's temperature to a maximum of 37 degrees Celsius, which is normal human body temperature, ensuring the battery chemistry remains stable over years of use.
Wow. And once it's charged, that tiny battery lasts 6 to 7 days.
Yeah.
That completely rewires how you interact with the device.
It really does.
You aren't charging it daily. You're just dropping it on a wireless pad while you take a shower once a week. It leverages the psychology of effortless habits. You remove the friction of daily charging, and the user compliance goes through the roof.
You eliminate the cognitive load of wondering if you remember to plug it in, ensuring the ring is actually on your finger, gathering that vital recovery data while you sleep.
Okay, I have to push back here, though. Because listening to this, the technology sounds like a biohacker's absolute utopia. Continuous, friction-free, clinical-grade data.
Right.
So if you're listening to this, you're probably looking at the watch on your wrist right now, thinking, do I really need to buy another piece of hardware? Let's ground this in reality by pulling from that critical article, exploring the downsides of wearable tech. What are the practical and financial catches of the smart ring?
Well, this raises an important question about the true cost of ownership and the limitations of the form factor. The hardware is impressive, but the ecosystem around it can be predatory.
Yeah, let's talk about the subscription trap, because the initial hardware price is often just the cover charge to enter the club. The critical article specifically calls out brands like Aura. You pay $349 upfront for the physical ring, but to actually see your detailed health insights, your sleep stages, and your HRV trends, you are forced to pay a $5.99 monthly subscription fee.
It transforms a product you own into a service you constantly rent.
Exactly. The academic analysis ran the math on this for a typical student budget. Over a 4-year college career, that monthly fee adds almost $480 to the cost of the ring.
Wow.
You're paying over $800 total for a piece of hardware that will likely need to be replaced by the time you graduate anyway.
That's a huge hidden cost.
It is. The article contrasts this with subscription-free models like OXYZEN, Ringcon, and Amazfit, where you buy the hardware once and the data is permanently yours. You really have to read the fine print to understand if you're buying a device or signing a lease.
And speaking of the fine print, the privacy implications are staggering. Consider the sheer granularity of the data we've been discussing. Your real-time heart rate, your physical stress patterns, your exact sleep architecture, menstrual cycles, blood oxygen, temperature. This is the most intimate data a human being can produce.
Yeah.
The critical article warns that the risk of unencrypted transmission between the ring, your smartphone via Bluetooth, and the company's cloud servers is a tangible vulnerability.
You are willingly wearing a 247 biological surveillance device.
If a company's back-end servers aren't perfectly secure, or if their privacy policy allows them to anonymize and sell your health trends to third-party advertisers, your biological rhythms basically become a commodity. Consumers must demand end-to-end encryption and crystal-clear data ownership policies before putting one of these on.
Beyond privacy and subscriptions, there are also hard technical limitations dictated by physics. Like, as much as we've praised the lack of a screen for reducing mental distraction, not having a screen is a massive handicap for active training.
Oh, absolutely.
If you are a runner trying to maintain a specific zone 2 heart rate or trying to hit a certain split pace on a track, a smart ring is entirely useless in the moment. You can't stare as a blank piece of titanium on your finger to see your current heart rate.
Right. The data is retroactive, it is highly accurate, but you can only access it after the fact by opening the app on your phone.
Furthermore, the critical article highlights that rings are notoriously bad at tracking specific types of workouts, particularly heavy weightlifting.
Yeah, that's a known issue.
When you grip a dumbbell or a heavy barbell, your physical grip flexes the muscles in your finger and literally pushes the blood away from the capillaries on the palm side of your hand. That mechanical pressure completely blocks the optical sensor from reading the blood flow, ruining the heart rate data for that set.
For real-time coaching, GPS tracking, and intense active phases of your day, the smartwatch with its bright screen and wrist-mounted sensors remains fundamentally superior.
So synthesizing all of this, it answers the question I posed earlier. The ring is not a total replacement for the watch, at least not for everyone. If you're a serious athlete, you still need your smartwatch for the gym or the track or the trail.
Definitely.
The smart ring functions best as an off-duty recovery tool. It's the silent device that tells you if your body is actually repairing itself from the brutal workout you tracked on your watch.
They serve two entirely different phases of human physiology, the active output of the day versus the passive, essential recovery of the night.
Let's summarize the journey we've taken today. We set out to decode the smart ring revolution. What we found in these sources is a deeply impressive piece of engineering that offers clinical-grade, continuous biometrics, mapping your heart rate variability, and highly accurate sleep staging.
Right.
And it achieves this without the digital noise, the constant glowing notifications, and the relentless daily charging friction of a traditional smartwatch.
It acts as a silent forensic accountant, helping you identify and manage the invisible epidemic of allostatic overload by giving you raw, objective data about the state of your nervous system.
However, you have to weigh those realities carefully. You have to navigate the subscription traps of certain legacy brands, ensure your most intimate biological data is securely encrypted, and accept that the lack of a screen makes it a poor companion for real-time athletic pacing. So what does this all mean? Ultimately, you have to evaluate your own daily life, your budget, and your mental bandwidth. Are you looking for a device to orchestrate your external world, managing your calendar, your texts, and your running pace with a connected watch? Or are you looking to optimize your internal biology, understanding your deep sleep, your hidden stress, and your vital recovery with the silent ring.
It is the choice between the conductor demanding your attention and the composer quietly writing the score of your health.
And that leaves us with one final, slightly provocative thought to end on today. As these wearable algorithms become more and more perfectly predictive as they learn to tell us exactly when our cognitive peak is, when we are exactly 1 day away from coming down with a fever, or even which specific social interactions cause our nervous systems to secretly spike in fear, do we risk outsourcing our own physical intuition?
Oh, wow.
Will we eventually stop listening to the whispers of our own bodies simply because we are too busy waiting for an algorithm to tell us how we feel?
It is the ultimate paradox of quantifying the human experience.
We leave you with that to ponder. Thanks for diving deep with us today.